Who shot President Trump? I mean, we know generally who shot him, but why? And were they acting alone? And was there a deeper conspiracy? Why was it that guy at the golf course had so many cell phones on him? What is the full report? Well, the full report is coming out soon. And yesterday in his Oval Office impromptu press conference, President Donald Trump teased the idea that he might actually release the report to the public, although he hasn't yet determined whether or not that's in anyone's best interest.
Well, and the second one with all of his cell phones. So I want to find the answers. I've told them. In fact, today I said, I want to find, we can no longer blame Biden for that one. He should have released that a long time ago. So they are giving me a report next week sometime, and I do believe I'll be releasing. I want to release the report. A lot of people have asked that question. You had one who had 3 apps, 2 of which were foreign, supposedly, and who has the biggest white shoe law firm in Pennsylvania, even though they don't live in necessarily a white shoe area. What's that all about? His law, the law firm. The other one had 7 or 6 cell phones, and I don't have 6 cell phones. And why would somebody have 6 cell phones? So we're going to be releasing a report on that soon, Peter.
But based on what you're saying right there, the lack of information and the data points that you just gave, does that make you think that there's some part of that there's some bigger?
It could be. Well, it makes other people think that. It makes me think it a little bit too. I say, when you have 3 apps and 2 of them are foreign, and you had an FBI that wouldn't report on it, they didn't want to say why, I would say that could be suspicious. And then on the second assassin, you had, and by the way, I have to tell you, Secret Service did a great job on that by spotting him. But on the second one, he had 6 cell phones. That's a lot of cell phones. And a couple of them had some strange markings on them. So, yeah, I want to find out, and I would be willing to release it. I mean, maybe there's a reason that we shouldn't, so I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis, but yeah, I would be very willing to release that. I'd like to see it. I want to see it myself, Peter. Not only you, I want to see that one myself.
Yeah, everyone wants to see that report. Hopefully we'll get it before we get the Epstein Files report. But that is Donald Trump's plan. He's going to get the report. He's going to read it. He's going to see who really was behind it and what were the unanswered questions that we've all had for a long time about that shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, during the campaign, which came inches from ending Donald Trump's life and the new golden age, which, by the way, we are feeling the full effects of. Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social yesterday, the golden age of America has just begun. Over the past 6 weeks, our administration has delivered on promises like no administration before it, always putting America first. DOGE has been an incredible success, and now that we have my cabinet in place, I have instructed the secretaries and leadership to work with DOGE on cost-cutting measures and staffing. As the secretaries learn about and understand the people working for the various departments, they can be very precise as to who will remain and who will go. We say the scalpel rather than the hatchet. The combination of them, Elon, DOGE, and other great people will be able to do things at a historic level. So Donald Trump, after a couple of weeks of allowing Elon Musk to unleash his DOGE chainsaw on various organizations like the USAID and other sources, is now giving his administration, his cabinet members and his cabinet secretaries a scalpel to carve out the bad parts of their business, their departments, and keep the good people. And that is something that is a slight change, but that's, once you've cut out the big pieces of waste, then you can go in and, you can chisel away to reveal the perfect statue underneath, kind of like Michelangelo and David. You hack off the big pieces and then you chisel away until you have the perfect form. And that's something that President Trump also mentioned yesterday while he was doing his impromptu press conference in the Oval Office. He said, we want to keep all of the good people we possibly can.
The other thing I think most important for today, I want the cabinet members to keep good people. I don't want to see a big cut where a lot of good people are cut. I want the cabinet members to keep the good people, and the people that aren't doing a good job, that are unreliable, don't show up to work, etc., those people can be cut. So I had a meeting, and I said, I want the cabinet members go first, keep all the people you want, everybody that you need. And it would be better if they were there for 2 years instead of 2 weeks, because in 2 years they'll know the people better. But I want them to do the best job they can. When we have good people, that's precious. That's very important. And we want them to keep the good people. And so we're going to be watching them, and Elon and the group are going to be watching them. And if they can cut, it's better. And if they don't cut, then Elon will do the cutting.
So that's how it works now. You've got a chance to go into your department and look around and see who's where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, and if you can do it on your own, great. If you can't, then Elon the Merciless will roll in with his chainsaw and he'll take care of business, because he is an unrepentant and unattached and, totally devoid of any kind of responsibility other than fiscal. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see how Donald Trump's cost-cutting measures and his Doge Department of Government Efficiency is now organically, kind of growing and changing, while at the same time doing whatever it can to save as much money as possible. Speaking of savings, Donald Trump was asked a question about daylight savings time, which happens again this week. I believe we spring forward and lose an hour. Now, Donald Trump and Secretary Rubio and Elon Musk and a bunch of other people have teased the idea of getting rid of daylight savings time altogether. And Peter Doocy from Fox News said, "Is this it? Is this fun? When is it finally going to happen?"
The clocks are going to spring forward on Sunday. When are you going to get rid of daylight savings time?
Okay, are you ready? So, this should be the easiest one of all, but it's a 50-50 issue. And if something's a 50-50 issue, it's hard to get excited about it. I assume people would like to have more light later, but some people want to have more light earlier because they don't want to take their kids to school in the dark. And it's a little bit one way, but it's very much a 50-50 issue. And it's something I can do, but a lot of people like it one way, a lot of people like it the other way. It's very even. And usually I find when that's the case, what else do we have to do?
So the problem is, America's divided, just like the red and the blue states, just like the Democrats and the Republicans. You've got people that want to wake up with the sun in their eyes so that their kids don't go to school in the dark. And then you've got other people that want to stay at the beach longer, and they want the hour of light at the end of the day. I just say split the difference and give people, just push the clocks forward 30 minutes. What's the difference? That gives everybody equal footing. But I guess at the same time, then you'd have to figure out if it goes back or forward. Anyway, you never really realize when you involve so many people how many different opinions can slow down the wheels of government. But that's exactly the problem that we see all the time. And speaking of the Democrats and the differences in opinion, President Donald Trump was asked about the speech, not his speech, which was, again, heralded as one of the greatest of all time, but the embarrassing reaction by the Democrat Party, not just in the chamber, but outside as well. Al Green, the representative from Texas who jumped up and waved his cane at Donald Trump and yelled and screamed something about a mandate, was censured yesterday by the House of Representatives. And then all the other Democrats gathered around to sing "We Shall Overcome," further embarrassing themselves in front of the American public. But Donald Trump was asked about that too, and he said, "Yeah, it was awful."
I thought it was very embarrassing for the Democrats what happened the other night. And that's not said for any other reason other than it's obvious, it's fact. Even CNN fake news said that. They came out and they said it.
And Donald Trump was asked about something else that was said on the news, not on CNN, but on MSNBC. And just like the rest of us, he was totally distraught and angered by what was said by Nicole Wallace and Rachel Maddow on MSNBC about his special visitor, 13-year-old cancer survivor, DJ Daniel.
Worse than CNN is MSDNC, which is the worst. And the good news is very few people watch them anymore. They have lost such credibility. And frankly, what Nicole Wallace said, I've never been a fan of hers, and she's not very talented. But I'll tell you, what she said the other day about that young man is disgraceful. She should be forced to resign. And Rachel Maddow should be forced to resign. Nobody watches her anyway. I don't know if it's not possible they pay her as much money as I hear, but certainly she's lost all credibility, both of them. But what they said the other day, they should be forced to resign about that young person.
AK, by the way, forced to resign equals they should be fired is what he's saying. And Donald Trump making this now a national issue really puts the spotlight on MSNBC and CNN and these other networks that have already been slashing their news departments. ABC had a bloodbath at their news division. They've basically cut half of the people in charge of their Dateline and their 2020. Their Good Morning America program now has only one producer instead of multiple. It has been bad news over and over ever since Donald Trump came back for the media industry, maybe because they lost some of their government funding, maybe because they lost a bunch of their viewers, maybe because America realized that they've just been pushing a left-wing agenda for way too long and not the actual, news like we do here. It was a free-for-all yesterday. There were all kinds of questions that were posed to Donald Trump. One about TikTok being extended. There were questions, of course, about Ukraine and Canada. And Rick Grinnell, who is Rick Grinnell, I don't even know. He wears so many hats. He's a special envoy. He's in charge of rebuilding LA. He's been put in charge of the Kennedy Center. He was interviewed about Hamilton, the show Hamilton, the hit Broadway musical about the life of Alexander Hamilton, canceled their appearance at the Kennedy Center. And they said they did it because they didn't like the new management, being President Donald Trump. And Rick Grinnell was asked about that and said, look, I don't understand why these people are so upset about Donald Trump revamping the Kennedy Center. No one's been canceled. No one's been forced to move. This is all again, of course, an incorrect and a false media narrative. Go figure.
Well, first of all, Sean, thanks for having me. It has been a while, and it's great to be back here on Fox. Look, the reality is the Kennedy Center is open for business for everyone. We just want an art center that celebrates arts. We want common sense art. We think that it's time to invite every single person to the Kennedy Center. But one important thing to note, we issued a statement tonight. The new team at the Kennedy Center has not canceled anyone. I know there's some rumors out there that somehow we were canceling shows. We have not canceled anyone. They've pulled out themselves, or they were told that due to ticket sales, it wasn't financially good enough, and they decided to back out because they were concerned about the finances. And so we want a Kennedy Center that is open to everyone. And what that means is that shows like Hamilton are going to have to allow Republicans to buy tickets. But Lin-Manuel said, I don't want to have Republicans coming here. I don't want to be in a space where Republicans are coming to my shows. I think that's intolerant. And that's one of the things that Donald Trump has really brought back into Washington, into America, into the Kennedy Center, is to say everyone is welcome. We're not going to cancel. We're not going to tell people that they're not welcome. Everyone is welcome.
Common sense art. That's what we're looking for. And it's a shocker, and it's disappointing because I know there's a lot of people who have enjoyed Hamilton over the years. And now to learn that the creator of Hamilton is basically saying Republicans do not come to my show. I don't want Republicans coming to my show. I'm not going to perform at the Kennedy Center because Republicans are going to come see. I don't want them to enjoy the entertainment that I've created. It's really weird and bizarre and demented and deranged. But again, what else do we expect from the Democrats? A lot of good news going on today. Donald Trump is working with Congress. He had a big meeting yesterday. Congress showed up. There's Tim Burchett in his barn jacket and a bunch of other congressional figures who are fighting and trying to create a sensible budget bill that doesn't bankrupt the future of the country. One of the biggest things is Donald Trump wanting to extend the debt ceiling so that he can get more money to put forward no tax on tips and no tax on Social Security and everything else. But there's a lot of, uber conservative Freedom Caucus members in the House and in the Senate, and Rand Paul among them, who want offsets and who do not want to extend the debt ceiling and who are understanding that Donald Trump wants to ease the burden on the American public, but also wary of spending more money now with the promise of saving later. And so these budget battles continue. Whether it's going to be two bills or one bill remains to be seen, but that's going to be a big story going into the weekend as President Trump works with congressional and Senate Republicans. And then finally, Doug Burgum and Chris Wright were at the port where they were talking about, of all things, oil and natural gas exports. When was the last time the United States exported oil and natural gas? That was very exciting.
Well, President Trump's plan, of course, for U.S. energy dominance includes us selling clean U.S. energy to our allies so they don't have to buy it from our adversaries. But part of the reason why Europe was buying from Russia was because President Biden and his administration put a ban on export facilities like we're here today. This is the most technologically advanced facility in the world. It's the largest construction project going on in North America, $18 billion of additional work that's going into this. And Chris and I had a chance to address today. There's over 6,000 patriotic American workers on site today building really the best of America, because they're bringing prosperity at home and they're bringing peace to the world with the work they're doing here on this LNG export facility.
Imagine that, when you have liquid and natural gas exports going out to our allies. Number one, they're not giving money to our enemies like Russia and Venezuela and the Middle East and China. And number two, you're creating American jobs. You're boosting the economy. It's a win-win, which is something Joe Biden never wanted. Joe Biden just wanted a lose situation, and that's what we had for 4 more years, which brings us back to the new golden age. Donald Trump ushering in an era of prosperity unlike we've ever seen before. And there's so much more to talk about. There's so much news dropping every single day, every single moment. And that's why we have a second daily podcast at noon today. You can download and listen to Mark Kaye Saves the Republic, long form content, interviews, more discussion than you could shake a stick at. I don't even know what that means or why you would shake a stick in my discussion. But if you'd like to hear more, and if you want to hear the latest and the most up to date news of the day, go to your local podcast platform, whether it's iTunes or Google or Spotify. Search for Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Download, listen, and enjoy.